Is my child safe at their school? What measures are in place to protect students and staff? What do I do if there is an emergency at my child's school? These questions, and many more, are on the minds of many of Charleston County School District's parents and guardians. And these questions, along with the answers to those questions, weigh heavily on CCSD's Office of Security and Emergency Management. In this installment of CCSD 101, we will highlight what is in place to protect students and staff and the work that goes on to maintain safe learning environments. The district's security team is composed of several staff members with significant law enforcement and military experience who are committed to reviewing and testing best practices of school safety. That includes emergency responses, partnerships with law enforcement agencies, physical safety measures in the building, and training of staff. To learn more about the responsibilities and abilities of the district security team, our school resource officer program, the standard response protocol, and our random search program, we spoke with our Executive Director of Security and Emergency Management, Michael Reidenbach. Michael, thanks for speaking with us on these topics. First of all, could you describe what the district security staff members are responsible for and what their capabilities are?
Absolutely. The CCSD Security and Emergency Management team focuses on two main priority areas. One is the preservation of life. We want to ensure that everyone inside of our schools are safe at all times, that our students, staff, and visitors have a safe experience while they're inside of one of our buildings or at a district-sponsored event. The second is to ensure that the academic process can continue uninterrupted, the learning process. So we want to make sure that if there are hazards, any emergencies that could interrupt that learning process, that we address those as quickly as possible so that students can get back to learning and teachers back to teaching. We address those priority areas through many different programs, the first of which is in our emergency operations planning and in training. So our district security team maintains an all-hazards emergency operations plan that contemplates a variety of threats and hazards that could impact the operations of the school district. But probably just as important as having an emergency plan is also ensuring that our staff are properly trained and know how to put those plans into place. So we have a robust drill training program for not only our new employees, but also our employees on a regular basis throughout the school year. Second, we employ a variety of physical safety measures inside of our school buildings and in our campuses. When we look at the physical security design of a campus, we employ a concept called defense in depth, which means we establish various layers of security throughout the campus in an attempt to better deter or detect or delay a potential threat from coming onto our campus. So that physical security program involves things such as fencing on our perimeters, campus perimeters or along our playgrounds, video surveillance cameras, electronic access control doors. It could be even something as simple as graphics or signage to establish territoriality. And of course, once you enter our building, the secure visitor management areas inside of our front offices help us more safely screen visitors coming into the campus. And then throughout the school building, we have locked doors and then also locked gates throughout the campus. Next, if we become aware of any sort of potential threat to our campus, especially if it involves someone who is considering harming themselves or harming others, we have a multidisciplinary team that assembles to conduct a threat assessment in those situations to determine not only the severity of the threat, but also to ensure the proper supports are put into place and interventions are put into place with the ultimate goal of stopping that threat from harming anybody. And then finally, we employ security staffing. So our security department is there every day to support our administrators in responding to campus situations and helping them develop their campus response plans for their individual campus, and also to evaluate the measures that we have in place to determine if any gaps exist and what improvements we may need to make. But then probably more visibly, from a parent and student's perspective, is our school resource officer program, which is where we have police officers from our local law enforcement agencies at our schools.
So you just mentioned the SRO program. Can you explain the purpose and responsibilities of school resource officers in our schools?
Absolutely. The SROs have really three primary missions. The first is, of course, to keep the campus safe. They're there to respond to a variety of situations, which arguably the worst case scenario we think about in this discussion is an active shooter. But every day they're dealing with different types of things other than that. They're dealing with potential trespassers. They're monitoring activity in the neighborhoods to make sure they don't impact the safety of our campus, like a police chase in the area or a bank robbery down the street. And they're also patrolling the campus to make sure that all of our physical security measures remain intact and secure at all times. But then aside from the campus safety element, they're also there to be a positive force and to develop positive relationships with our students and our families. They're providing informal counseling and mediation to our students to help them make good decisions, to ultimately help them from interacting with law enforcement in what we consider an official capacity. And then also even going into classrooms and having discussions about the law enforcement profession, or they may even share information that they've learned about accident reconstruction and the equations that go along with that with the math class.
Heard about that. SROs, along with our staff members and our students, are also trained in something we call the Standard Response Protocol, and that's something that went into effect in 2020. Can you elaborate more on that?
Absolutely. You may remember that the school district used to use a system that relied on color codes. So we had code red, code yellow, and code green, which drove the implementation of various emergency procedures in our schools. And just like with any emergency plans, you need to evolve and you need to improve upon them. And so in that light, we adopted the Standard Response Protocol, which is a system that's put out by the I Love You Guys Foundation, which is a national nonprofit school safety organization that really filled a gap in the school safety world in creating the Standard Response Protocol, which was really the first nationally adopted system that school districts can use to trigger responses among their staff and students to various situations that could happen. There are 5 different responses in the SRP, and those 5 responses really address most all the hazards we could potentially face, and they're all based in plain language. So what you hear is what you do, and it's very easy to understand. So even if you're a visitor on the campus and have never been trained in the SRP, when you hear one of the responses initiated on the campus, you should be able to understand what your response should be.
I think another important safety initiative across our district is the Random Search Program, and that went into effect in our high schools in 2019. Can you break that down, what the Random Search Program is?
The Random Search Program was developed after many public discussions about the best way for the school district to deter individuals from bringing weapons into our school buildings, but also to increase our chances of detecting those weapons if they do come into the buildings. So the Random Search Program is put into place every day by the search and safety team within our office, and they go out and, as the name suggests, conduct random searches primarily in our high schools. That random selection process is truly random. Our team works with individuals from other departments to randomly select rooms based on a random number generator, and it's not until we arrive at the school where we actually share that information with the school and go into that area. When we do go into an area for a random search, and that area could be a classroom, it could be a random school bus, or it even could be a random door where students are entering that morning. When we go into that area, students get searched in the same way that you would expect going into a government building or even into an event at the Coliseum, where they're being screened with a magnetometer, a metal detector, and then also having a bag search.
Well, Michael, I really appreciate all this helpful information. Hopefully everyone out there watching this video does too. And we all appreciate your team's work and what you do to keep everyone in this district as safe as possible. Thanks for the interview. Of course, CCSD's security plans involve more than responses and programs. There are physical measures in place in our buildings to keep our students and staff protected. That includes vestibules at entrances, locked doors, and a digital system to verify guests. For these measures to work, staff members must be trained. To learn more about this part of our district security efforts, we turn to Tim Huey, Deputy Director of Emergency Management. Well, Tim, some people might take drills and training lightly, but because we are protecting and taking care of 49,000, 50,000 students district-wide, training and drills are critical to our safety measures working, correct?
That's right. So the level of seriousness and participation by our staff and students during our emergency drills could definitely make a significant difference in our performance when a real-life on-campus emergency occurs. So just like any other learned skill, proper emergency drill practice coupled with repetition can certainly build participants' readiness.
And so let's go into the drills a little bit more here. How often do staff members and students participate in drills, and what are the drills they participate in?
Sure, great question. So South Carolina law actually dictates the amount and frequency of drills that we complete. So every month we are required to complete a fire drill at the school level. And we're also required to complete a lockdown drill each semester, as well as an earthquake drill and a tornado drill annually.
One last question, this is getting away from the drills part and getting now into communication. To create and to build trust with our school community, our district-wide community, we must communicate. So where does communication come up in our security efforts, and what do we communicate?
Sure, that's a great question as well. So we do want our students, staff, and parents to be confident that the school district has a comprehensive safety program that helps us mitigate our risks, better prepares us to respond to crisis, and supports quick recovery efforts. In order to maintain the integrity of our emergency response program, we do not publicly share our emergency operations plan. Even so, our information about security efforts can be found on the CCSD Security and Emergency Management website, and this does include an overview of school safety measures, the standard response protocol, as well as our random search program here in CCSD.
Well, Tim, thanks for speaking with us about that, and we really do appreciate the role that you have, and that your team has in protecting our staff and students.
Well, thank you for inviting us to the table. So I certainly think if we can help out in any way, shape, or form, that's what we're here to do.
Appreciate it, Tim.
Thank you.
One last note about communication. If you, as a parent or guardian, are notified about a change in operations at your child's school, including an emergency, please do not call the school or report to the school unless directed by school or district staff. We want our school staff to focus on responding to the situation while providing emergency responders and law enforcement agencies quick and easy access to our campuses. If there is a need for reunification or student pickup, that information will be provided in additional messages. We also encourage you to follow the school and district social media platforms, CCSD alerts through our text messaging system, the CCSD mobile app, and local law enforcement agencies for official updates. To learn more, go to the district website, ccsdschools.com/security. The office's phone number is 843-308-6580. We thank you for watching this installment of CCSD 101.